Welcome to those who are joining us. Happy Wednesday webinar to everyone. When you come in, please sign in to the chat so that folks will know that you're here. And please identify what church or community you're in, please. Here we go. People are coming in. Kathy Love. Great to see you, Kathy. Thanks for joining. Gordon back again. Anne back again. Thank you both so much. Ooh, here come people. There's Deborah, Robin Wells, Genua. So glad to see everybody. Stephen, Beth, Barbara. Oh, how fantastic. Betty, so nice to see you. Oh, it's great to have everybody coming in. It's really nice. As you come in, if you have questions that you've prepared, you'll see a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Please list your questions there. I see Hola has a hand raised. If you would put that, any question you might have in the Q&A, that would be great. That would be great. We will have time for Q&A towards the end of the webinar, as we always do. There's Shinya's here. Fantastic. People, there's Jane Dredge. People are coming in. It's 4:01. So in just a moment or so, we'll start some introductions. Jola, thank you for the correction on the pronunciation. If I have a 50-50 chance, I'm going to get it wrong. So just know that. Thank you for your grace. There's Don. Okay. Well, as people come in, we want to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to welcome you. I am Craig this week. As most of you who are regulars know, Craig Brown is our MC Emeritus. He is fantastic and he leads us through these webinar journeys. I'm your Director of Communications and I'm his behind the scenes partner in crime. So I'm very happy to welcome everyone here to Wednesday webinar that's dedicated to creating worship for children in new and creative ways. We have quite a group of panelists with us today. We have our own Reverend Dr. Fel Cow. Fel is the Director of Camping and Retreat Ministries, as well as Director of Young People's Ministries. So he's here with us. We have Susan Garrison, who is a lively teacher and UMC member. She is very interested in children's ministry and she loves animals, as you can see from her background, and you'll be learning more about her very soon. Many of you know our next two panelists very well, or have at least heard of them. J.B. Brayfindley, Deborah, but we all know J.B. is J.B., is a retired music and drama teacher, special education teacher, and retail music store owner. She's currently the president of CNUMC Clergy Spouse Association, and she's working as a freelance writer. If you follow the Instant Connection at all, you know JB's moniker, and she is a fabulous contributor every week. She's also a photographer and a puppeteer. She's a member of First UMC Sacramento and involved in the online children's ministry and music ministry. She serves in the Pentecost Circuit as the video editor for the children's worship and creator of Singing with Mort. Our next panelist probably doesn't need any introduction, but that would deprive me of the fun of introducing Reverend Matoya Mata IV to you. She serves as the senior pastor with Sacramento Senior. She's a senior pastor at Sacramento Japanese UMC here in Sacramento. And she's also a circuit leader of the Sacramento Pentecost Circuit. So JB and Matoy are circuit sisters. Reverend Matoy represents the Western jurisdiction to the General Board of Discipleship Ministries on the Board of Directors from the 2012 to 2020 session. She serves on the Annual Conferences Committee on New and Vital Congregations, and she's the founder and former chair of the National Asian American Pacific Islander Clergy Women, AAPIC. And she continues to support the organization as its advisor. She is one of the authors of Nevertheless She Leads, which is a post-colonial women's leadership novel for the church, book for the church, and I commend it to you. So without further ado, we will go ahead and begin. And I have a video to share that will introduce children's worship. Here we go. Selby, share your screen. There we go. That's what we want to share. And all right, how much fun is that? Without further ado, Phil, would you join us, please? And I'm going to turn things over to Matoy and JB to tell us how it all got started.
Thank you. And Fel, since you joined, do you want to introduce yourself or do you want to say hi? No? Okay, I will start.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here with you.
Thank you very much, Fel. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to have you. I want to start with a scripture because we gotta depend on God's grace, and that's really how that started. So Matthew 19:14. But Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me and do not stop them, for it is to such as these that the kingdom of heaven belongs." And he laid his hands on them and went on his way. So when COVID-19 hit, as many of you, I panicked. And I'm sure many of the pastors panic, and a lot of church people, like back in March, suddenly we shifted to online service, and there's so many things we need to do. And many people we see on Sunday morning, we have to check in by call, and just so many different things. And I have two small children. They are 7 and 4 years old. You see them on the video sometime. But then as time went, April, so a couple weeks later after the COVID-19 and then it's shifted to online service, our church is blessed to have a wonderful family ministry coordinator, Momoko Tamaoki Newsome. And she was doing a children's message, and we also have a Sunday online Sunday service. But I started to wonder what other churches are doing, what resources are available, and it was kind of heavy in my heart because as a working parent and doing a distance learning, it was very difficult. It was just so difficult. And unlike youth, they can be proactive and find their resources or connect with friends. Children don't have those options. And I just started to wonder, can we do something for them, and thought about children's worship. For our church, we had a capability of doing it. I just didn't have time to edit. And so I started to pray. I remember back in April around Easter and started to pray, God, you placed this on my heart and I don't know what to do. We need someone to edit the video. Children really need to hear the Jesus word. And that's then like April and May is a time we started to hear nursery and Sunday school may not happen for a year. And I just thought, wow, that means many churches will not have anything at all. And I was sad. So I talked to my circuit and thought about, well, what do you think about this? And then okay, you really need to pray. If you want to do something at your church, pray, because really God answered our prayer. So I've been praying and praying, and suddenly JB appeared. And as we talk, we got excited, and she's able to do video editing, and we are like, oh wow, we can do this together. So we went to circuit, and then also mentioned it at the circuit leader meeting, and then Los Rios District Superintendent at the time, Skylar Rose, mentioned it to Selby and then Fel. And as we talked, we decided it's probably best if it's a circuit project, but we open it to all. So we worked on how much we need to raise and if the people are willing to pay and all those things. And then also set up registration for people who are interested in. And we started May 31st and decided to do 3 months trial. And then we are very clear from the beginning. Yes, it is a Sacramento Pentecost Circuit. Oh, and I want to show you just to give a credit to my people. So we have several churches, and I'm sorry this is a bad picture of them, but COVID-19, this is the best picture we could do. And then this is my family ministry coordinator, who has done great things for the children's message for the children's worship service as well. So we wanted to make sure our children in the annual conference have something that they can connect to Jesus during this time of COVID. And I'm going to now pass it to JB. She literally is a godsend. Without her, we wouldn't have the children's worship today. So JB, please go ahead.
Well, I know that there was so much that God did ahead of time. And that, I think, is always the case when you think, oh, I did all this, but there's been so many things that led up to this. So we got together and we wanted to do this ministry. And so we took an assessment of what we had, and that's where Matoy's talking about where are we going to put this? And we stuck with the circuit. And then we thought about, well, what's it going to look like? What are the things that kids need? What are the things that kids want? What do they like? And we kind of narrowed that down to just 3 things. We wanted it to be real simple. We wanted the Bible read. We wanted a faith-based message. And we wanted to also have diverse members of the wider faith family be integrated into this as well. So it's a connectional system where it's not just your family, but it's the whole church family that's broader. One of the important things during this time that we thought about as well was to connect with our own members and our own people and to see them. So we wanted to make sure that Sunday school teachers, people in the church that the kids knew, they got to see. So we also made an opportunity for a goodbye area or a greeting area where people can come in and say, hi, I miss you. And so there's so many different opportunities that we made in this worship for a lot of people to be involved, not just like my church to do everything, or maybe Matoy's church to do everything. We wanted to have it really widen and broaden out for the kids. And so we made sure that we wanted music in it, we wanted laughing in it, we wanted learning in it, and that connection with people. One of the things that I found, we have what we call as a test group. We send out this video ahead of time to some kids, and they look at it and see if they like it or not. And one of the things I was going to share later, but I can share it now, is about Mort, is I decided to introduce him as somebody who was short and who was somebody at my feet. And so I had a video of Mort, introducing himself as a shy person around my feet. Well, the kids hated it. They turned off the video immediately and said, that's horrible. Why is there a puppet at somebody's feet? We don't like to look at feet. And then I realized, oh my gosh, kids look at faces. This right now, we get to see this. Why would I want to look at your feet? I want to see your face. I want to be involved with you. So we took assessment of a test group of what they like, what really was fun for them. And we really rethought it in their eyes of, well, they don't want people. They want to see, they want to engage. And so we took this opportunity to make our experience one where they can get engaged in a lot of different ways. And so we continue to do that test group too, to see how many people like different parts of it and that. So we assessed what we have, and that's why we sent out a questionnaire and polled the churches as how they could help, what the skills and talents were, and then their level of participation, whether they just wanted to watch, whether they want to submit videos themselves, or whether they wanted to donate. And so that's kind of how we got started. We found out that a video of this type and magnification, bigger than the video screen here, is multi-tiered. It's a multi-tiered effort. It involves technology, it involves people, and it involves time. We needed submission of video clips, we needed the overall editing, and we needed to do the uploading. And we really discovered that uploading takes a long time, especially if you mess up or if your connection is not all that great. And then we needed to reach out to the people who were watching it, making sure that they got the connection, they got the site, they got feedback, and that we connected that way. So really it's a 4-part kind of effort there that takes a lot of hours. And you'll see in an FAQ sheet later, if you want to look through that list and everything I've just talked about, it is on the FAQ sheet. I don't know if we want to go on and talk about what makes a good video and how to send clips. We can do that later. Right now, I would like to, I don't know if this is the time where we want Phil to talk about how the conference got more involved in what we were doing.
I think that's a great idea, JB. Phil,
well. All right. Thank you, JB and Selvin, of course, Motoe. So how did the Conference Committee on Young People's Ministry how did they get involved in the Ministry of Children's Online Worship? When I received the letter from Motoe and JB with regards to the creative idea of the Children's Online Worship, along with an email from Skylar Rhodes, when he was still the district superintendent for Los Rios district. We didn't have any committee on children's ministry in the annual conference. And at that time, I think it was in April or May, and correct me if I'm wrong, we were in the process of creating a task force on children's ministry as an area ministry of the Conference Committee on Young People's Ministry. And through the leadership of Carla Landin, who was our chair way back then, we have decided, let's support this children's online worship ministry, because it's an adopted ministry to the current pandemic that we are dealing with, and so many challenges that we are faced with. And so I've been involved in one of the Sundays of the children's online worship. I was asked to give a welcoming word with the use of my indigenous musical instrument. I got involved in giving the benediction, and I will be preaching as well on August 9th on the topic, Be a Courageous Disciple of Jesus Christ, in which our children are being formed to become disciples of Jesus. And I just wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to the members of our annual conference, clergy and lay. We have a task force on children's ministry that is working to provide resources for the annual conference and supporting children's ministry. This is now headed by Kathy Morris, who is the pastor Dixon United Methodist Church with the members Jay Cook, Joe, Pastor Myong Nam, Ellen Dison, a deaconess, and Nia Mateolona, a youth director, and Robbie Frederickson, who's now the chair of the Conference Committee on Young People's Ministry. And so, Matoe, Susan, JB, we are here for you. And if there's anything that we could be of help, other than the $500 support that we gave the children's online worship, maybe we can include that as part of the budget of a committee later on. One, it has been determined to create one to resource and prioritize the children along with the young people in our annual conference. So thank you so much for all your work, and I will still be here with you as you continue on with our webinar.
Thank you, Phil, so much. And also the Young People's Ministry and the Children Ministry Task Force, not only for their funding, but emotional support and all those things. And I do want to say thank you for former District Superintendent Skylar Rose, as well as our new District Superintendent Shinya Goto, that we already asked Reverend Shinya if he can be part of the children's worship, and he said yes. So we are waiting. And I also, at this moment, I want to share the circuit met yesterday. We decided to continue. So originally we decided to do May 31st to August 16th, but we realized this is a really essential ministry, and so they decided to continue. And JB and I should talk sometime this week how that's going to work. But we are really excited. And I want to mention that someone asking the Q&A, and then I was going to mention how many children are watching. We usually have average 150 to 250 views. We don't know exactly how many children, because sometimes the one view may mean 5 kids watching, and like my kids who repeatedly watch something could be a couple of different views. So we have 55 members on our Google list who sign up to receive the weekly the list, and that's about 40 churches, including our circuit churches. And at this point, I'm going to share the website we just made a few days ago because of the request people ask. Because JB will talk more, it's unlisted on YouTube. And for the privacy of our children, we have to have a different link for the YouTube every week, but we made this website for you. So, and I believe the information is on the registration for this webinar. So if you go to this site, and there's a password also listed on the registration site, you can have all the things listed for the description starting from May 31st. So if you have a chance, I encourage you to go there. And that's all I have. So back to you, JB.
That's great. Well, there's another piece to this whole section, in that we wanted to have fun and we wanted to have music. And I know I play the piano, but that's not much, you know, when it comes to kids. And so we had to come up with something. And Matoi's like, we got to do something. And I'm like, well, okay. As a drama teacher, I have these puppets, and I have to see which one's not scary, which ones can move. And then I thought of my friend. Oh my gosh, she has pups. She does. I called up Susan and I said, Susan, hey, look at these puppets and see what you think about these. And so I sent her videos of different puppets, one with mouths, ones with not. And I tried to find one that would be a bit expressive. And this one turned out to be the one that I used. I didn't have a name for it. We were coming up with different names because it's a snail. And so here we are at week 1. I have to get something put together with a snail. And then Matoy says, well, we need music too. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to have a snail with some music. And so since my husband volunteered me, I volunteered him. And so he's our musician with Mort. I just came up with Mort. I just said, hey, Mort, the name just came to me, I think, you know. And it was really strange how that was, because Susan, we went over several names. And I said, meet my friend. I don't know who it is. And we just came up with snail, snow. And then Mort just came out, and then Mort did things. And it was just, it, yeah, I mean, he's his own person. I don't even know if it's a he. I mean, I'm not sure what snails are. I'm learning. And so we came up with Mort singing with Rod, and we Mort began because we wanted something different. I had a puppet. Then we added the music. I drafted Rod. I became a puppeteer, and then we did the test group to see if they even liked him. Come to find out, the test group said, you will never do another one without Mort, because it was like, they loved Mort. And I'm like, why do they like Mort? It's interesting in something like this that you think, oh, I'll just do this and maybe people will like it or maybe they won't. And then you find they do. And it just takes you by surprise, and you have to figure out why do they like it, and then you have to figure out how to go on with that and what would be something interesting for the kids with that. And so we kind of analyze our little group and why they like it. We do know that they turn off the videos when they don't like them. So we had to have something that they liked. We wanted the fun, so we added some more humor. And so you'll see in every single piece that we do, every single worship, there'll be outtake trailer that's added just for fun, because God loves humor and loves us even when we're weird. And so we're kind of weird at the end. We do something funny but weird, but it's really holy. It's a holy kind of laughter. So Mort started out with somebody who had fear, because we wanted to address some of the issues of being afraid. And when I showed Susan the puppet at first, and then he crawled back into himself, I'm like, whoa, look at that. He could teach us a lot about meeting friends, about all these things. And so I go, that's great. So we introduced his personality in the first one. And then the next one, we found out that he likes music. That's because Rod asked him, do you like music? And he said yes. And so it's like, great. And then he started dancing. And then like, okay, he likes music and dances. Our test group loved him dancing, loved him doing silly things. And then his personality grew to where now he listens for words in the songs and he gets them confused. And the kids like that, and they repeat these words. They start, and you'll see this as I show you another video in a minute. Mort also grows in emotions. He gets upset. You can see in the trailer at the very end, this Sunday, he'll be throwing things on top of Pastor Rod. I think, was it this week or next week? I always work ahead, so I'm not sure when, but he's going to do that. And so we don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, it's hard. It's these new kind of things. You can count on them, and then again, it's like, oh God. And I think Matoy, like you said, we're just praying. Show us the next door. Is this supposed to continue, or is it to move to something else? We don't know. And really, there's a lot of words. As I don't care, whatever kids want, whatever works well. And as we work, as Matoy and I work together, working, what is good, what is something that, and that's how is God moving through this. Let's watch a video of Mort.
Hello, we're going to watch a video with Mort. Just one sec. Share. Let's see. Stop share. I'm trying to get, this is Selby, everybody. I have selected Mort, and it's not changing. Let's see.
And I can share my screen if you want to.
Would you share your screen? Somehow it's not moving from the first video share. I'm sorry.
Yes, let me move things around.
Thank you, JB.
We go to see webinar and singing with Mort.
Hi, kids. I brought my banjo today. Can you see it? It's got 5 strings, and it's kind of easy to play, especially down on this end. It's really pretty easy. So, hey, Mort, I was going to do some music. You want to do some music? Okay, let's do it. It's really fun. This song is all about peace. It goes like this. May the peace, may the peace, may the peace, may the peace of God be with you. Isn't that cool? So I could maybe sing all those lines, and maybe you could sing every other line. You know, I could sing, may the peace, and you could sing back to me, may the peace, you know, may the peace, may the peace. See? So, and then there's another line, it goes like this. May the joy, may the joy, may the joy, may the joy of God give you life. And then, Mort, did you see Mort go somewhere? I didn't finish teaching the song. Well, there's a line about may the love, may the love, may the love, may the love of God. Watch this. May the love of God strengthen and heal you. Strengthen you, you know? And then may the peace and the joy and the love of God fill and be you. Okay, so you ready? I'm sorry Mort's not here, but we'll be okay, okay? So it goes like this. May the peace, may the peace, may the peace, may the Mort, what did you?
Peas.
Peas. You gave me peas? Why did you give me peas? Oh. You thought I said peas? Peas? Mort. I said peace. Peace.
Peas.
No, not peace. 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 That's it. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll eat the peas later. And the fact that you brought such a sweet gift means that, you know, that makes more peace between us, right? So thank you for the peas. Or, okay, here we go. So sing with me, kids, if you can. May the peace, may the peace, may the peace, may the peace of God be with you. May the joy. May the joy, may the joy, may the joy, may the joy of God give you life, love. May the love, may the love, may the love, may the love of God strengthen and heal you. May the peace, may the joy, may the love of God fill and be you. Let's do it again. May the peace, may the peace, may the peace, may the peace of God be with you. May the joy, may the joy, may the joy, may the joy of God give you life. May the love, may the love, may the love, may the love of God strengthen and heal you. May the peace, may the joy, may the love of God fill and be you. Peace, Mort. Peace.
They asked me to share comments from my kids. So originally when I saw the exact piece you just saw, as an adult, I'm like, oh, they're repeating the same thing and going on and on and on. And then 7 years old, so 4 years old, they are love, and now they go like this and playing Mort. And then they often go, peas, and just love it. Sometimes they love Mort so much, they want to forward from all the beginning to Mort, and then to the very end, because usually Mort appears at the very end. So it's just, as JB said, you never know what you offer. You may not think the best thing, and then kids may love it. So thank you, JB.
And so I want to move on to Susan. We wanted other things. You know, we envisioned, I don't know about you, Matoy, but I had these visions of, wow, all these things could happen. And then I'm like, okay, what do we actually have? What's somebody that we know who could help? And Susan, I love you, Susan. You would send me these texts, these cute little animal texts. And I went, Susan, can you create an animal to talk to the kids and put this as part of our children's worship? So tell me.
So this actually all started, I don't know if it was April or whatever. I woke up on a Saturday morning at like 7 o'clock to this video of my goofy friend JB doing this puppet show with Mort, it turns out, who I thought at the time was a mouse. But I just got such a kick out of it. And she said, remember all those videos you did of like your dog and my dog, and they were talking, and can you, like, do you want to do some voices for puppets? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do, but I want to be involved. And what ended up happening is I'm kind of a writer, and I like making these silly videos with our animals, and I had done it for JB and Rod's dog. And that ended up being my little piece that now JB calls Susan's Holy Zoo. So the process, and I think you'll see the one with my dog in a minute. But the process is JB lets me know ahead of time what all the topics were going to be for the summer. And I would think, okay, well, what animal sort of exemplifies that that ideal in the Bible to me? Like, there's one coming up about courage, and that's Dan the lion. Did a lion for that one. And think of scriptures that go with it, and write the script. And I have an app that I use once the script is done, and I pick a picture. The whole thing from start to finish, from idea to scripture to picking the animal, naming the animal, writing the script, finding the photo, animating the photo, recording it, and sending it to JB. Mm-hmm. The couple of the longer ones have taken a couple of hours to do, but I can pretty much do one in an hour. So I don't want you to like minimize my contribution, but it's like he's the one really doing the heavy lifting. I'm like the idea person with the goofy voices and who loves animals. And now we've taken it to, we find out the favorite animals of the kids at the church, and I do a birthday message for them that goes out on our website. And so there's a lot of fun things like this that can be done. After we see the one and only Kona, I'll say a couple more things, and then I'll kind of shift it back to JB.
Okay, so you want me to share my screen?
That would be perfect. Sorry, JB. Thank you.
Oh, no. And all these intros that you see, they didn't start with these, but I learned more about how to do intros. And so now they all have an intro, because we are making these videos stand alone, because they can be public as opposed to videos with the kids' faces in them. So these we are actually putting on our children's website to everyone in the world. And so that's kind of what this is now.
This is the one and only Kona. In my house, we made a pledge to feel all the feelings, which is a brave and bold thing to do. When we are sad, we feel sad and talk about it. When we are mad, we feel it and talk about that too. Maybe you could make that promise in your family. We have another promise in our family too, and that is to remember to use our cookie voice whenever possible. This is the cheerful voice my human mom uses when she says, Kona, do you want a cookie? It's good to feel all your feelings and talk about them, but we promised not to bark at each other when we feel sad or mad or scared or lonely or frustrated. Instead, we just listen with an open heart and respond with as much love as possible. When you love someone, it's easy to use your cookie voice with them, and the Lord loves a cheerful heart. Remember when you speak that you always have a choice, so don't just bark, use your cookie voice.
So cute.
Yeah, I agree.
So before I just kind of turn it back over, I just wanted to say it is such a neat example of you never know what you've got that God can use, and you never know when you put something out there that comes from your like bright, shiny heart, where it's gonna end up, because it was at least 2 years ago that I made this video of JB's dog. And who knew that someday this talent for making strange voices, writing crazy scripts, using animals to discuss scripture and tell kids not to be afraid, who knew that this could be a useful skill set? So the thing I love about that is that it's just kind of inspiring to keep just like being yourself and use what you've got. God will use you. God will absolutely use you.
I want to ask Matoy, tell us about your family's reaction to this cute dog.
So kids have been home and distance learning at that point, like 3 months. And my two kids usually get along pretty well, but started to fight. And when the Kona, the dog came up, first of all, we kids are like, dogs are talking like people. But then it was so interesting that they immediately understood what the barking voice is and versus cookie voices. So when after I was watching that, when they started to fight or the barking, I immediately say, "Remember what Kona said, cookie voice?" And they stop and then kind of look at each other, and then they understand. And then that's a simple message, but it's something that kids need to hear because it's a very stressful time, and sometimes they get frustrated and then they get aggressive or raise their voice. And instead of like, you're yelling, you're raising your voice. If I say cookie voice, they understand. And then that's a really good teaching. So I'm very thankful for Susan and JB who put this together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The one thing that I found so far, we've all found, is that this experience has been a platform for ministry and a catalyst for new ideas. So far, the series has birthed Singing with Mort, Susan's Holy Zoo. Gordon Barbosa in Fort Bragg is now contributing. He's contributing cartoons. He said, "I'm starting to do this work with cartoons. Would you be interested?" It's wonderful. It tells the scripture in a new way. We can have someone read it out loud, but to have them have pictures of that scripture along in a cartoon fashion is really nice. And then we can edit those. He can say whatever we need said. If there's something, in the world happening, he can totally edit that and make that fit what we need as well. And this experience has also been a platform to expand viewership to current ministries that are out there, including the Lodi Snappy puppet. And then Tamioko Newsom from the family coordinator of SJUMC Garden Church had a message every Sunday. Wonderful. Even my mother says, I love listening to her. She just has this kind voice, and kids are listening to someone who's very kind to them, who's patient with them. And I think these ministries we need to see that are already there. And I think this has been a platform for that. Also, it's been an experience to see familiar and new faces. We had Reverend Falcao fell, I came, various pastors. We're getting to see UMC pastors. I mean, this week, Reverend Jones came on. I'm like, I love his accent because he's from England. And I'm like, oh, wow. And it's just the kids get to meet all these different pastors. So it's kind of fun that if they go to another Methodist church or another pastor comes, it's like, oh, I'm used to this. There are pastors around. And they get to see different people from different church families. So we get to meet Sunday school teachers, other people in the greetings. We got to meet the graduates from a lot of different churches. And it also spurred more ideas for local churches. Like Susan was saying, we now have a ministry for birthdays in our church. Or we could do this, Susan, I'm volunteering you. We could do this for the conference. If you have a special birthday, Susan will make a video for them, from an animal, their favorite animal. But our church started out with nothing, and now we're doing a bunch of stuff. And because of that, we can then go online with these things. Not only our church, but we're offering this to the world. We're seeing that people can look up Kona anywhere in the world. People can look up Mort anywhere in the world. If other ministries want to be out there like that, this is a platform to say, we can put you on this YouTube channel and open it up to the public. And so this is a nice platform for United Methodists to say, yeah, let's get this message of God's love out there. This, which we dearly need. And just like we had in these messages from Kona and Mort, the love and the joy that you can have in a church fellowship.
If I can jump in, JB, we are thankful for all the churches and people who are gifted, but just to think about who you have at your church, because I asked one of the older, we have a garden angels who take care of gardens. I asked one of the person to talk about the garden, and he's a retired lawyer, and he had a script, and he did it in 2 minutes, and then after the first take, I said, I don't think my kids will understand. It was beautifully done, but I don't think my kids will understand what you said. Can you try second time with words that kids will understand? So he didn't think he would, do that, but it just turned out to be really perfect. And the first one, he did it very difficult. We put it on our website because he did a beautiful history of our garden. So you just never know what talent you may have in your church. And then also you can use the Zoom. If you have a Zoom, you can record it through the Zoom, because I've done it a couple times too. People don't know how to videotape, and they don't have a phone to videotape and all those things. But as long as they can do the Zoom, we can record what they say, and that's another helpful one, that if you want to do anything video or online. And I do want to mention that we made mistakes, and JB usually is perfectly, beautifully done. But there are, can I share that one time that I usually watch before it goes to public? I watched from the beginning to the end, and I only saw Euro-Americans. And then I said, well, our circuit and annual conference is very diverse, and we have to see different faces because that's who you are. So we edited to just add some different people, because I really think with everything going on, we need to embrace everyone, every culture, and different languages. Like Pentecost service we had multiple languages, and we are so thankful. We are so blessed to have those things in our annual conference, and we want to embrace it. So hope you will be able to join us, and if you know any talented people, send them to our way, because so we can have them as a part of the video. And I will send it back to you, JB.
We have some things that we learned. We do know that rendering, that's when you want to upload it and put it somewhere. It takes a long time. Just so you know. So what makes a good video clip? We want people to make their films in a landscape, like a TV. Otherwise we get black space around it, but to do your filming that way, to make sure that you have a light in front of the speaker. So if I turn that off, I have a black side, and the kids might get scared. I mean, it may not matter to an adult, but having something like that is like, ooh, but not too eerie, like don't put the light weird, but having some type of light so that you're seen. Film as close as possible. Even if you were to film like this with my editing, I can edit you closer. So if you're getting something and then you're the editor, it doesn't matter if it's way back here, because you can make it. But as you edit, You want to bring it to the kids. The kids are used to watching TV, and people don't go like this on TV. They come up and they say, "Hi, how are you?" And so you want to make sure that you engage the kids like they can and want to be engaged as people that want to be with you and understand and learn about you. And then to keep them short, we have our whole video is like 20 minutes at the most. So 1 to 2 minutes are our clips. And then in the background, if there's anything that'll distract, you want to make sure that it's not in the video. Again, the videos that we make for the kids, they can get distracted. And we're finding out now using social media and using these different platforms that people can get up and leave. They can just, I don't want to watch, so they'll just get up and do something they think they're watching and then come back. So you have to think about that of, okay, well, let's give them a moment to leave if they need to. We'll do a quiet thing, or we'll do a loud thing and get them involved. So you, as you begin a ministry on your own or work with us with giving us videos, that's what we're working on. And that's in the FAQ of how to send them. And then some information on CCLI is in the FAQ. So I think we want to talk a little bit more about exploring the future, and then in questions and answers, we can answer that too at that time. So, Matoy?
The next thing I wanted to do is you can type in a chat, but also what I wanted to do was maybe next 10 minutes, I wanted to hear from you. We are Sacramento Pentecost Circuit, but also we are working with FILLAN, Children Ministry Task Force of the annual conference, and we wanted to hear what you've been doing, and but mostly what you need. With all the things happening, we will not be able to have in-person worship for a while, and for the Sunday school and nursery, we probably not gonna be able to have it for at least a year, and schools are not opening next month, and that means we may not see our children in a church since March. It's been 6 months, and it could be another 6 months easily. And unlike youth who are able to be proactive and get information and connect with other friends, children have to receive, and that means we need to connect with parents, grandparents, or the guardians to provide. So if you can put in a chat what kind of resources, what kind of things you are looking for. And Selby, if someone raised their hand, can you let them speak?
You bet, Matoy, and I'm going to jump back in here as questions start coming in, and I would encourage those questions. Here's one on the Q&A. Let's see. I see that you've addressed a lot of these, Matoy. So I had a question. If I'm not very technically minded, like you and JB, and if I don't have a lot of money but I do have a smartphone that I have, how could I what would be the first thing you would advise me to do to engage with the children in my church and get connected with your children's worship? What if, we've talked a lot about God opening doors, what if I had an idea and I wanted to share it with you and become a part of this? How would I do that? How would I would reach out to you and say, I have an idea, or I could reach out and say, my kids really like this. How are you? And one thing I really love is that you are incorporating people across the conference. Because, and I really love what both of you said, JB said, we're getting to know one another, and the children are getting to know, we're all connected. So how valuable is that to what you all are doing, and how have you thus far brought in people who want to be a part?
Anyone who asks a question, and I usually connect them to JB in terms of the video, if they want to offer anything. If they have a question about the ministry itself, I usually try to do whatever I can or connect with Reverend Fell. So JB, do you want to say if somebody mentioned something to you?
I think this is a great platform for someone to get started. You can begin to learn your technology with us. And so when you submit videos to us, let's say on your smartphone, we can then say, oh, well, I couldn't see this, or I could. And then when you give us a good video, you can and see it on the Sunday worship, you can go, wow, I did a good job. And then you can take that information and go forward with that in directions even more personal at your church. So you can use this platform to experiment with as well and get in. And again, what we're trying to do is collaborate. And this is a great collaborate. I'm totally willing. This is what I'm doing right now for the COVID-19 is collaborating, especially with churches with children's ministries. And that's what they want. That's where I want to be. And so that's why I wanted to be with Motoy and the Pentecost Circuit, because this can happen and we can do this. And a smartphone, I did not know all the things that a smartphone can do. Oh my gosh, it can do so much. So the next thing that you need to do is something to hold it, because if you get your friend, they'd start wiggling and then it's like, oh, it gets me sick. So you just want to get a stand, one of those little grippers that has it on a stand. And so that's the first major expense, is to get a stand for your smartphone. And that's how we started with all of our productions, and our productions even of our church right now. That's how we do it, with a smartphone and a stand. Eventually we went to, and this is what another webinar we were talking about, is that then you can get something to do your microphone in case you've got too much noise around. And we are seeing that in some of the videos, there's a lot of background noise. And so those people I will be talking to and saying, well, you might consider this and this and this. I can eliminate a lot of noise background. So even in the videos, you'll see if you submit a video that I can edit it and show you how I can improve upon it. And then, yeah, I think just experiment, throw stuff at us and say, here, let's do this. The only thing that we are working with is confidentiality, in that we don't want kids to, be exposed too much. And so that's why we do a link system for our videos that have kids in them. It's not that the kids don't mind being on social media. A lot of their things already are, but we just don't want to be the ones to put it on YouTube public. But having it up at your website, they know it's going to be there. Having it up where you know where the links are and you get the links, that's okay. So
great. Those privacy issues are very important, and I'm sure each church has a policy. So that would be among the first things to check, is your church policy. I have a question from Lois Black, who's a faithful attendee. What editing software does JB use?
I use just iMovie. I learned that at the conference office. And so, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it doesn't do everything if you are a pro, but the hardest thing I found in learning how to work with Photoshop and all of them is like how to turn it on. And the simple things that all these programs that tell you how to do it don't tell you. Because like this says, well, on the screen, just click this. I'm like, that's a weird word. I don't know what that means. Is that a box? Is that an X? So I can help people with iMovie software if they just call me up and say, okay, I want to get started, but I want this movie to get closer. How do I do that? And it's really cool to do it once you get past the basics. Once you say, oh, that's what that means. Oh, that's what that means. So it's not as hard as you think, except, yeah, tech people don't tell you the basic things of it's on the right side at the top. And you're looking everywhere for it, going, where is it? It's right over there, and it's green.
Right.
Most like, unless you're in the wrong screen, which you are. And it's like, well, go to the other screen to find it. And that's where as we work together and more churches and more people understand how to use that kind of software, and as we collaborate, we'll have more people to ask questions to as well. But right now, we're here. You can ask us questions.
And I also want to chime in that we had a questionnaire and about 10 people responded for what the church has been doing for children and what kind of resources they need. And I also got a call from one of the pastors yesterday that I need help. I need help from annual conference. Our children don't have technology and they can't watch children's worship. What resources do you have? And what do you do for your church? And I shared what our church does on top of the online worship that we call children. We have a prayer partner with children, but also people are asking for how to connect with children shelter in place, and how do we do Sunday school when September comes, because we will not be there physically. So those are the things I've been hearing, and I think that's something we can kind of collaborate together. So more people for voice, then we can do this together. For example, Vacation Bible School or the Kids Camp, back in first week of June, when I researched annual conference, there's only one church doing it. So I just felt we got to do something about it. This is a great opportunity for children. So our church is doing the virtual one. You are welcome to join us. You can do it anytime you like, just to really collaborate and listen to what's happening. And the pastor who called me yesterday said, now schools are not opening, kids are stressed, and they're starting to go to counseling, and domestic violence is becoming a big issue. So how do we address those things as a church? And perhaps we can even have a Zoom meeting with parents so they can share. And I know among our churches, we have psychologists and counselors who can lead, and the pastor can lead the spiritual part. So I think the collaboration, so if you voice your need, we can work together. So I just wanted to chime in and mention that.
I love that. And I would see Fel, I would love to bring Fel into this discussion. You know, the serious goals that we have, and packaging those for children with laughter and joy. Fel, talk to us about some of the things your office is imagining, not only with this collaboration, but at other tables where you sit.
Sure. Thank you, Selby. And I'll piggyback on what Motowi shared earlier. Our children are also dealing with an increasing level of anxiety. And the United Methodist Women published a study manual on how to help our children manage their emotions. Actually, Selby shared with us the information for a webinar that the United Methodist Women hosted, and I participated on that. And our task force, through the leadership of Kathy Morris, is planning to do a series of Bible studies using this material, managing our emotions and helping our children deal with their emotions. And so once the task force has already worked on the plan in doing a series of studies, we would like to work with our Office of Communications to let you know about it. And if you need the information and the link for this material, Selby and I can send that to you. And just like what was mentioned earlier, work collaboratively on adoptive ministry in addition to online worship. We would like to provide help and resources for our local churches.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, and it's such a wonderful thing you do through your office, Fel. And of course, I'm a shameless ambassador and cheerleader for United Methodist Women. So of course, I always think about the women and what they're doing. We've had some other questions, but I think they're becoming answered. I just wanted to ask Susan as well to jump in. You know, a lot of themes have been coming up as recurring throughout this webinar, and we've got a little bit more time. So I'd like to sort of wrap up our question and answer by asking each of you to say a little bit about why it's important to you to do children's ministry as a part of your calling. And I'd like for you to then speak to the importance of the connection that we have as Conference Faith Family, and how that speaks into this ministry. I know we've said it in different ways and different, but I'd really like to have sort of cap statements, if you will, from each of you about why you're involved in this as part of your ministry, and how being a part of the California Nevada Faith Family Connection has facilitated this. And Fel, we can start with you.
Sure. Thank you, Selby. I was reading the Gospel of Mark, chapter 8 and chapter 11 earlier, when Jesus said, "Suffer not the little children to come unto me, for theirs is the kingdom of God." And I believe that it is God's will when we prioritize children in our ministry, in the culture of our church, whether ethnic churches or predominantly white and other cultures in our conference and in the church setting. When you see children, they bring their parents with them. And we are prioritizing the young people and the young adults through Growing Young, as it was introduced to the church. But the children are also part of our discipleship ministry, our discipleship work. And so that's why my passion is into this, because Jesus loved and loves the children as we care for them and form them in the spirituality in which we are reminded that teach the children the way that they should go according to the scripture, and when they grow old, they will not depart from it. And so we're investing in the lives of our children.
I love that. I love the thought of investment and listening to the call to do that. Susan, what a gift you are. Just your spirit just shines right through the screen. Tell us a little bit about, I know you've told us a little bit, but just sort of a cap statement on why you're involved in this and how you experience the connection of our conference family.
You know, I think a lot about the most spiritual moments in my life that have allowed me to be a woman of faith. I think go back. You know, I am a former youth pastor, so youth ministry is not children's ministry.
It shows,
but you know, it's similar.
Yeah.
But the church I grew up in, the Methodist Church in San Diego, and the youth group that was there was such an important part of my life. And I want kids to have access to what I had. But my little corner of the world is also some of the most spiritual experiences I had outside of church were with animals, because I can't tell a 5-year-old. I know that you're hearing a lot about racial inequality right now, and just don't be afraid. But I can have a wolf say, "You may think that I'm scary, and just don't judge me just by what you see. Like, give me a chance. Let's talk." I had a lot of very spiritual experiences watching Mr. Rogers when I was a kid. I look up to him to this day. I model a lot of the person I am after Mr. Rogers and Jane Goodall.
That's a perfect combination.
And I think that this little bit of JB's ministry and what has now become the conference ministry, and which I hope becomes something that a lot of people hook onto, is that I don't know. I mean, you guys kind of got it. You know where I'm coming from. But it's just it's a special little thing to be able to see the world from a child's perspective. Mm. And I liked how so many people have said, "Well, would a child be able to understand that concept, those words? Mm-hmm. Would they engage with your feet?" Would they, you know? So just kind of take a chance. Think about what you want them to know, and then Be kind, be bold, do good.
Wow.
I love it. I love it. JB, talk to us a little bit.
I'm a writer, so just talking is not the easiest thing, but you know, I really do value humans. Kids are humans, and sometimes they get pushed aside. And we all need to understand how much God loves us. If we knew that as a child, deep in our heart, wow, a lot of things would be different today. We really do need to share with kids God's love and God's humor and God's laughter, as well as God's sadness. I mean, there's so much that kids can understand now, and we need to address those. And as a church, we need to, and we are. And as a connection, I'm so excited to be, and always have been excited to be part of the United Methodist Church. There are so many wonderful people that are connected together, so many ministries that we do. And I know the kids want to just, if they understood everything that they could do, they would be doing it right now. And so they want to be a part of the church. They want to do what we're doing. They want to grow, and they want to do more than we can ever believe. So this is a huge responsibility for us, but it's a huge opportunity for us. And yeah, we can do this.
Wonderful. Matoy, what would you leave us with, dear?
Oh, that's a different question.
No, it's the same question. I'm not messing with you.
Okay. John 15:5, it's also a meaning of my name. I'm the vine, you are the branches, abide in me, abide in you. Like even the cell phone who's so useful, if you don't charge it for 1 day or like 3 days, it's useless. We have to remember we are connected to Jesus. And I was worried about children. Like I have 2 of my own, but I really consider children of God, of our area, our annual conference, our children. And I just felt compassionate that they need to feel the love of God. They need to recharge. Parents and family love them, I'm sure, but they need to hear from somebody else that Jesus loves you. Things you see is not the only thing, because there's a greater things and great future waiting for them. So even this morning at the virtual vacation Bible school, and your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path, and reminding them, really read the Bible or hear the Bible, ask someone to read the Bible, and then know that Jesus' love is there and that you can trust Jesus. And this, so just to trusting God and knowing Jesus' love, and that's what we wanted to share. And in connection is wonderful for annual conference, because when one annual conference does it, we can trust them, because when we don't know what church or what denomination, then we don't know is that good for our children or people. But when one of us in our annual conference does that, we are like, okay, I think we can show it to my kids, and then that's something they can share. So I'm so thankful for Val, Selby, Susan, JB, and all the people who've been part of this children's ministry. And if you have any suggestion or question or collaboration, please talk to us, because overall we are doing this to God and God's children.
Thank you so much. And I would like to extend on behalf of myself and Tua Yang, my erstwhile partner behind the scenes, without whom none of this would happen, a big, big thank you for your sincerity, your openness, your vulnerability, and for your talent and sharing your hard and soft skills. So I just thank each of you. I would thank my listeners as well, and appreciate everybody who comes to our Wednesday webinars. They will continue, and we have some exciting new things that are coming on as we work together with Craig and Dr. Reggie at Congregational and Leadership Development. I will say that we're teed up for next week's webinar with Michelle Pope, who is not only our conference lay leader, but she is the CEO at Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay. Michelle has been in the middle of the COVID crisis, caring for older adults and helping her staff care for older adults. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about the work she does, but the everyday things we can do to help protect older people in our lives. And it's more than wearing a mask. A mask is the great first step, but Michelle will share, and we'll all come away with a renewed understanding and appreciation of, how fragile we all are. So I invite you to that webinar, and I will also let you know that the resources from this webinar, as well as the recording of this webinar, will be posted through the magic of TUA on our website Wednesday webinar conference page. And if you want to know more about children's worship than we expressed here, there are several news articles that we have run in Instant Connection, introducing and outlining and linking to the exciting things that children's worship has been doing as they've been going and growing. So I invite you to check out our news site. I do invite you to send me stories about what's going on in your local church. Some of you have begun to do that, and it is so exciting. We had a great article around old-fashioned hymn sing that folks did virtually. We've gotten information from United Methodist Men as well as United Methodist Women. No story too small. As a matter of fact, I really like the stories of person to person making a difference in local communities. So, but do reach out and let us hear from you, because we want you to be a part of Wednesday webinars as well. So we are at 5:16. We're in good time. We're going to say goodbye now. Wish you well until we gather again next Wednesday. Love and light to each. Thank you so much.